All right, let's go. Hi, it's Luke again from after the final set. I just finished another training and it was on New Year's, so happy 2026. 26, yeah, geez, I stopped counting at some point, to be fair. Once again, just a space where I can share my thoughts after my training. As you guys already know, I get very reflective, thinking about my problems, my challenges, sometimes opportunities as well, so not always negative, sometimes positive, and I think about them differently after I train, and as always I want to share it all with you. So let's get into it. Heard this term the other day from Think Media, so I'm definitely not claiming it, just saying I heard it, called Copy and Taste. Got me thinking about my training and how I have copied so much from my personal trainer and how I have seen an exponential development after copying. But I was fascinated with this saying, copy and taste. Why? I mean, I think it's self-explanatory, but we're taught from a very young age, don't copy. I guess, you shouldn't sit and do an examination and just copy, because if you copy, you don't learn. That statement was never 100% true. The fact is that it depends on how you copy. And what I loved about this saying, copy and taste, it's all about seeing what's out there, copying what you believe is the best parts, but then making sure that you add your elements to it and adding your sense of taste to make it your original content. Therefore, what I want to talk to you about is how I applied that to my training. Once again, backstory, trained since I was 18, now I'm 39, and only in the last 2 years did I ever have a personal trainer. Had the best developments of my life at the age, or 2 years ago when I started with my personal trainer, Steve from Optimizer Sport. And I have to say that one of the main reasons I had better development was simply because I copied Steve. He had an elite way of training. He has a history of playing professional sports. He played a little bit of American football, not in America, but he played it in Germany at a pretty high level, and therefore he trained like an athlete, and he was able to share a lot of how he trained, and then I was able to copy it. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second that I could do anything as well as he could do, but the ability to copy his routine, even if it was to 60, 70, 80% of how he did it, helped me to accelerate. Now, at some point in time, you do plateau from copying. That's where the taste part comes in. At some point in time, I had to understand and know how my body works and how it is different, simply because I haven't had the pedigree or the level of training and conditioning Steve has had. So the taste part is essential. And I think when you are focusing on not just copying, but also adding your flavor, your taste to the content, whether it be your training or whether it be your personal life, your professional life, whatever it might be, means that you're copying with intent. And you're not copying passively, like you might be if you're, doing an examination and just writing down what the person next to you has done. That's a very passive way of copying, but there's also active ways of copying. That is looking at what somebody else does and making a conscious assessment of how they're doing it and how you may do it differently. This is super important. I want to share one story with you guys as always, which is not in the gym, but in my professional life, just to show you that some of these concepts really translate directly into the professional environment. Aspect of my career that I have leverage from is whenever I'm starting something new, whether it be the implementation of a new system, the driving of a new business model, it doesn't matter what it is. If I am starting something new, the first thing I do is think about what has already been done. And I try my best to make sure that I do that as a type of due diligence before I start a topic. Otherwise, I could be coming up with what I think is an original idea, which is not original at all. And what I do when I have a look at what's already done is I make a very conscious effort to consider how much of that I want to copy. And before I go ahead and copy anything, I make sure that I approach the person who developed that idea and give them credit. I also open them up to how I would add my taste to their idea, essentially making it an iterative process. I've noticed that in large corporations, in large companies, this is not commonly done. And there's a simple reason why. Large companies hire smart people. Smart people can't become or get defined as smart because they're very good at completing examinations academically, and examinations are typically an individual sport and not a group sport. And therefore, these particular people who they hire are incredibly intelligent at coming up with their own ideas, but not necessarily gifted in working with other people. Therefore, the art of copying and tasting has helped me through my career, and it's helped me to excel at times faster than people who are much more intelligent than me, simply because I was able to leverage from their ideas instead of always trying to create my own. So, whether it be in your professional life, or whether it be in your training life, or whether it be in your personal life, I think you shouldn't be afraid to copy, so long as you're going to do two things. The first thing is you're going to copy actively, not passively. So you're going to think about the content that you're copying, and you're going to think about how you would add your taste to it. And the second thing, and I think this is really important, when you are copying some content, give credit to the creator. You know, it's all about working together. Most creators, I believe, are really, really happy when people look, observe, and take in their content. And it's a very endearing feeling when people copy what you're doing, and they copy and give you credit at the same time. So just make sure that if you are trying this copy and taste methodology, and I'm by no means an expert, as I mentioned, I heard it from Think Media, so credit to them on the content. Just make sure that you do give that credit and that you do add your taste. So, once again, Luke from After the Final Set, I hope this has helped you, and if so, share away. Ciao.